Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies. Open.
I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Hello, and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we continue to trek through the past and future of Star Trek. I'm your host, Mike Jones, and you might have noticed by that alternate intro music, we have a very special episode today. Although the more I listen to that, the more it sounds like the beginning of the People's Court. But anyway, now joining me in the virtual studio are my lovely co-host. If he were to join a show in drag, his name would be Ask Me a Question. It's Damien.
Oh my God. You can't make me laugh like that because I've also got a cough and I'm just gonna start coughing into the
I'm gonna start hacking up a lung.
No, but I like that. I like that alternate intro music. It's like, I don't know, like if you watched us on the YouTube, we were all kind of like bouncing with it, you know?
It's true.
Although
it's like the first notes are like People's Court. Anyway, the plaintiff. Okay. She's looking very proud of herself for writing that intro. We might get to discuss her burlesque career tonight, but it didn't happen. It's Lanita.
Oh, jokes. We've got jokes. I mean, I wouldn't call it burlesque. It was more amateur stripping in a random bar in upstate New York.
you see, there was no obligation to add a fact. There was no fact.
I know, but you know me, but you know me. I'm not a mystery. I'm an open book.
Yes.
Good times, baby. Good times.
Good
Winning
times.
free drinks for the night.
We all have stories to tell.
Drinks for the night.
And are super excited about our guest and her story to tell.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is a very special episode in the pod. We're calling this our Hailing Frequencies Open After Dark series, where we are exploring the spicier side of the Trek fandom. Our guest today, we are very lucky to have her here. This is a performance artist, a drag thing hailing from Boston, Massachusetts, debuting in 2017. She quickly found her home in the spookier parts of Boston's drag and burlesque scene. Having grown up a fan of Hellboy, Stargate, SG-1, and all things horror, she found her true love of Star Trek at a burlesque show in 2017. She's coming to us late. Well, I don't know. She's probably very young. In 2017 to me is like not that long ago. By the time the show returned 1 year later, she had watched all of the original series, the animated series, The Next Generation. She was in a science officer's uniform at that show. For the next several years, she continued to grow her love of Star Trek and performance art training at the Circus Studio, learning pole dancing, dancing in the club to fund her full-time performance career. After starting Star Trek Stripper, copyright, a nerdy meme page inspired by her time at the club, she produced her first show called Slut Trek in May 2023. Considering this her true calling, she has decided to focus her production efforts on one blockbuster show per year with the hopes to bring Slut Trek to all of us one day. Welcome to the show, Lucy Blueskies.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being here. It has been a journey to get you booked. We've been sick. You've been busy. Like, I'm so glad it finally worked out. Poor Damien is still sick. So
the stars almost aligned perfectly, but we made it here.
But I have this here hot toddy with like just a little bit of bourbon. So anything that comes out weird, it's going to be because of that.
Yeah. Blame the bourbon. So yeah, let's start at the big picture. So you have this background in burlesque. Can you tell us a little bit about what burlesque is, for our listeners who might think they know what it is, but maybe have a limited definition in their minds?
Yeah, so I debuted as a burlesque performer in 2017, and I have a similar thing to you. Like, that feels like it was like 2 years ago.
Right?
But it was so many. It was closer to 7, 8 now that I debuted. Back then, drag and burlesque were very separate communities in Boston itself. And I found myself more on the burlesque side of it. The longer I performed, I do feel like I'm a little bit closer to a drag performance, or to performance art. For me, burlesque is very like long gloves and the stocking peels and the corsets and
Right,
everything
the
like that. And
fans and
yeah, and very glamorous. And I do things very gremlin-esque and very I draw a lot from horror and from burlesque. So I never exactly fit with like the classic burlesque. So what I like to call myself is a performance artist because it kind of falls right in the middle. And now I also do pole performance as well.
nice. Um, it's funny. I not as a performer, but I have a little bit of burlesque experience. As I missed my background's in stage management. But I stage managed this burlesque show in Denver for a few years, and but my actual title was Stage Kitten.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So I was a stage kitten.
Wait, I'm
Um,
sorry. Is that like a universal thing? Is that like
Oh,
a,
yeah.
what does that
yeah.
mean?
So that means that's the person that goes out in between acts to help clean up the clothes, sometimes to get tips as well, sometimes to preset items, like if the next act has like a set. That's actually my favorite thing to do because it's a lot less pressure on you than doing a solo act. You're kind of just
Sure.
helping in between. Everyone's still cheering when you're walking out. It's
So you're like
guaranteed
those
successful
applause.
role.
You can imagine that they're for you and not the
Yeah.
act that
Oh,
you're cleaning up after.
thank
Yes.
you.
I
I
don't think
picked that
I
up
ever got
so
applause,
lovely.
but I'm not I was probably just dressed like a techie. But anyway, um so that's yeah, that's neither here nor there. Uh, so can you talk to us a little bit about how your background growing up watching science fiction and how that merged in with Star Trek and then your performance?
Yeah, so I feel like most people I talk to now grew up listening or watching Star Trek, and it really was a key part of their childhood. I unfortunately didn't have that. I don't know how I missed it. But I never watched Star Trek growing up as a kid. I was really into like Hellboy. I love Stargate SG-1. I'm actually doing a rewatch of that right now. It so holds up. It's such a good show. And then I went to a show called, I believe they called theirs The Next Gyration. I went to that
Nice.
having, yeah, they came up with some pretty good titles. I had actually never seen an episode. I just knew about half the cast. And I got there and everyone was so passionate. Um, the crowd was so into it, the performers were so into it, everyone was laughing at these inside jokes and I didn't seem to get them, and I was like, wow, there has to be something to this. So I went home after the show and I ended up falling so deeply in love with Star Trek, that by the time the show happened 1 year later, they called it Deep Space Fine the next year. I came in a science officer's uniform. I had already watched a bunch of it. That was in 2018. And then I had originally planned to do Slut Trek closer to 2020, but something happened. I can't remember what
Forget
happened, but
that
my
year.
plans got derailed. So
That's great.
so we came in strong in 2023 with it, and this will be my third year doing it.
Well,
Awesome.
we're big believers here that there's no wrong time in your life to find Star Trek, and Mike and I very much. I like to say, and I think maybe I stole this from our friend Aaron, that I had Star Trek instead of Friends as a
Yes.
child. Lanita came to it as an adult, and we mine those differences between our experience of Star Trek for so much discussion. There's so much in that how you perceive Star Trek and how it affects your life
Yeah.
is so closely tied to when you first
Yep.
encountered it and how it affected you that first time through. So we love hearing those stories about people discovering Star Trek at all points in
I
their life.
love
Yeah.
the fact that you went full throttle. You were like me, was like, oh, I'm going to watch it. And then
Oh yeah.
that was me all
Oh
day long.
yeah.
Was like, and I'm eating everything. What else can I watch? What is next? In order, thank you.
There's something like sometimes jealous of people who haven't seen it all, that there is like still so much more to discover.
Sure.
That's true. I do wish I had left myself some because I have watched all of Star Trek already.
All
So now I'm
movies.
doing rewatches, but I have seen every single episode. I believe we're at 930 currently,
Mm,
and all of the movies.
Same.
So,
I still have some movies left to go.
ah,
yeah,
We're gonna
yeah,
mine that for the pod.
absolutely.
So when you first started to watch Star Trek, you had already known it through a burlesque or performance art kind of lens at that point.
yes.
And how do you think that affected how you perceived it when you started watching it?
I definitely feel like I saw a lot of the tropes even in just that first show. Like
Mhm.
I was just immediately ready for Spurk action because I started with the original series and went through that way. So I
Right.
was already ready for Spurk, and then when nothing ever actually happened, I was so disappointed. Like I really thought we were going to get something, but nope, just hints, just feelings.
Mixed feelings. There's that. I just rewatched the episode, like the Nazi episode. I don't remember the name, but Patterns of Force.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the episode where Kirk and Spock are in a jail cell, like
Hmm.
shirtless for whatever
Yep.
reason.
Yeah, and he climbs up on Kirk.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
climbs
yep.
up on. Yeah, I'm like, come on, like they're laying it right out in front of us here.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they knew what they were doing.
Did they?
Absolutely.
So
We know who made it.
well, right, exactly. Um, so, there's this thing that's come up recently that quote unquote Star Trek is dying. Um, that one of the actors in Section 31 said that in an interview. He was like, Star Trek is dying. The fan base is getting older. We need to bring in new fans and give them something different. And that's part of what the Section 31 movie was all about. But like, do you find that to be reflected in the audiences and community that you have?
I think I'm blessed that I'm in a little echo chamber
Mm,
Mm.
around me, both drag and gender identity and Star Trek. I feel like I have a lot of people around me that all feel the same way as me. So I don't personally see it. I can understand that point, I guess. It's hard to compare what older Star Trek is, TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, the vibe that those shows carried and what people are looking for nowadays. I think
right.
priorities have changed in terms of like what people are looking for. And I think we do see that really reflected in like some of the fast paced Discovery episodes. I feel like Lower
Absolutely.
Decks is the exception because Lower Decks is just so on the money every time.
Oh my
They
God.
never miss.
Nope.
Mhm.
Right.
The Section 31 movie is definitely something that would appeal to a younger audience, to a newer audience, to an audience that doesn't want to sit through like a 48-minute next gen episode where it's like Data's learning to paint and nothing else is happening. I don't know if everyone has patience for those nowadays.
Those are my
Um,
favorite episodes.
They're my
Mine too. Mine too. I'm like,
favorites.
give me 48 minutes of nothing, please. I just
Yes.
want to just
Yeah.
sit behind your little desk and talk. That's all I need. Yes.
Yes.
A nice
Yeah.
conference room scene, a
Yeah.
PowerPoint, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have found with some of the newer Star Trek, I am definitely a Star Trek apologist. I love all of it, even when it's not great. The way I like to say it is sometimes Star Trek tells me a story that's so good I only need to hear it once. So I only got to watch it one time, and then I
nice,
really
well
absorbed
put.
it all. So,
No, I think that's
Well
great.
put. Yeah, that's
yeah.
really great. Well, it's interesting. I feel like there's this subculture of you know queer uh, uh alternative nerds who are finding Star Trek, or maybe have always had it, but are now like coming out of that Star Trek closet a little bit and being like, you know what, I'm gonna let my freak flag fly. You know what I mean? Who cares if this is what I enjoy? And like we're seeing them more at conventions, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing that's happening in cosplay and furries, and like there's this, it's happening, I think, in the younger generations. Like those are the new fans. If you go back to the traditional Star Trek fans that you would see in, like, the Trekkies documentary that Denise
Yeah.
Cosby did. Oh my God, I loved that. But that kind of Trekkie is, I think, is kind of dying out, and the younger, at least I hope, the younger generations of Trekkie are the weirder ones, frankly.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
like, it's infinite diversity and infinite combinations. I mean, that's Star Trek, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, and the burlesque performance art world is the perfect place for that. Um,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about the other acts that are in your show? Like take us through like last year's
Yes.
Slut Trek.
Yeah, so I have been very fortunate in my performance art career to have been brought up by several very successful performers, namely Throb Zombie, who was just on season 5 of Dragula. They are the person who really took me under their wing and helped me grow as a young artist. And something that they are known for is producing more of a variety in their show than just your typical drag show or burlesque show. So I tried to bring that into Slut Trek. What I like to call it is a live action love letter to Star Trek. We always have burlesque, we have drag, we always have pole performers. I am a stripper and I am a pole dancer, so I always make sure we have at least 2 pole performers. I also like to have live music and comedy as well. So it has more variety to it.
Absolutely. Like,
How long are the shows?
oh yeah.
It's about 2 hours with a little intermission.
Oh, perfect. Well, you
Yeah.
got to get the bar money. I mean, that's intermission.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
important. We're all theater people. The theater I'm working at right now is 2 shows running that don't have an intermission, which I love because I get to go home early.
Yeah.
But the bar hates it.
Oh, I'm
Correct.
sure.
Because people never come early enough to actually get a drink and sit down.
No,
And then when they're
no,
seated, they're not getting up again.
no.
Can you talk to us about how you connect with all of these acts? Are you holding auditions? Are these people sort of from within your network? Like, how do you know all these folks?
Yeah, so I find it important to hire actual Trekkies. I think that
Yes.
there's this sort of passion that reads through, especially with Star Trek fans, that you just can't replicate no matter what. Like, um, it's wonderful if you could do a backflip or something like that, but if you don't actually like the source material, I don't think you're the right fit for my show.
Mm,
So I hired mostly people I knew in my community who were Star Trek fans, or at least like interested in it, liked it enough. This last year, I did open up some auditions to see, or some submissions rather, to
okay.
see if there were Trekkies hiding in my community who I didn't know about. And then I'm also bringing in some people from Philly. I've connected with some people across the country, so I'm slowly bringing more people in. Last year we had MK Ultra from Austin, Texas come out. We had Riot
Wow.
Romero coming down from Maine. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, it's funny that you mentioned Philly because Mike and I went to the Diversity and Inclusion, the Gays in Space convention in Philly, which is where we met. I think we know Luna in common. We had Luna
Yes.
on the pod, and she had just
Yes.
sort of casually mentioned, "I'm going to Boston for Slut Track," and we were like,
Mhm.
"What is
What's
that?"
that?
So that is, it's funny how all of these connections are made. She definitely led us to you, so we're grateful for that.
Yes, no, I love Luna. Luna is incredible. I'm actually really excited to announce Luna is going to be one of our co-hosts this year.
Amazing,
That's
Yes.
awesome.
amazing.
Yes.
That's
So
great.
I am so excited about that. They will also be co-hosting with Sherman, who is the producer of the whole show up here in Boston, a local drag cryptid legend creature. If you've ever seen Boston Drag, you probably know Sherman. So they are going to be our other co-hosts this
Can
year.
you tell us? You're talking about Boston Drag.
Yes.
As though what is as though it has a character unto its, like, how would you characterize
Oh,
Boston drag as different from other drag?
I only know
Boston
Is
two
that
drag is
drag
so
queens from
it
interesting.
felt like it felt layered with meaning when you said that.
Yes, yes. And I think this is again part of my echo chamber. We have a really wonderful, spooky and nerdy culture up here. That we've really combined, like the burlesque and drag communities have really kind of combined
Hmm.
each other to each other in a way that I don't think I have seen in other cities. I follow performers in other cities, and I feel like Boston's doing it a little different. We also have Providence right nearby, so like the
Yeah,
two scenes are very connected. Um, yeah, I feel like
Sure,
we're
yeah.
we're a little
Yeah.
spookier and weirder than most other ones.
I like that. I like that.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you have Salem, and my husband's from
Mhm.
Danvers, like just down the road there. There's
Danvers.
a Danvers. There's a big witch community, and there's so much
He got us the
crossover out there.
backstage tour at the Salem Witch Museum. That's right.
Yes, we
Ooh.
did.
We sure did.
That's
Good
awesome.
times.
Mhm.
Yeah, we should do an episode about that. There's an episode in the animated series where they go to Salem. Anyway, thinking of ideas.
Did you ever go to
It's
Flying Saucer, the Trekkie pizza place in Salem, Massachusetts?
no
Yeah,
what?
it's an
You've
all like
blown their
sci-fi
minds.
themed pizza place. Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely
God.
incredible.
I'm
Yeah.
writing that down
Look at
right
that. I was like, Mike Jones
now.
is writing this down
I'm like,
Yeah, get their
immediately. You're
garlic
like,
knots if you go. They're really good.
oh my
it's
God.
so interesting you talk about Boston drag because like the only like my like point of reference is like I watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, yeah. It's not like that's not the epitome of drag, but like getting on the show is like sort of launches your career. So
Yes.
recently there are two queens who like I'm from Boston,
Yep.
which Plain Jane and now Corey King.
Yes. Yes.
Corey King,
Yes.
who I'm like, oh, okay. Plain Jane, like, full on was like, this is Boston drag, da da da, like, you don't know. So I was like, oh, okay. So having sort of a small, minuscule point of reference because not every queen is that way.
Yes.
Less
Yeah. I also,
quirky,
I
less
think,
spooky.
yeah, I think I don't always see a lot of rude drag in my personal life, but again, I'm in my little echo chamber.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Sure,
There's
we all.
so many weirdos up here that I'm typically just going to like the more weirdo shows. And there's a lot of us. There's a
That's
lot of
awesome.
us. Yeah.
Which is funny because I think that like from New York, I feel like Boston has this reputation as being this sort of like very buttoned up, sort of like preppy, collegey kind of place, and all of this that you're saying really contradicts that, which I love.
Yeah. I think that's during the day. And then at night, we get all freaky
Oh
and weird.
yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Sun
yes.
goes down.
The
Duality.
Yep.
Yeah.
unbutton.
The
Uh,
freaks that come out at night. Yeah. There's a whole song about it.
Oh, yeah.
I love
The
it.
other thing that caught my ear or my eye rather is that you identify as a drag thing, and I can extrapolate, but tell me what all that means.
Yeah, I mean, I think
How
we
you
all know
landed there?
drag queens. Like we're used to that. We a lot of us now know what a drag king is.
Yes.
And I don't really feel myself pulled so much towards like gender
Hmm.
so much as like an artistic expression. I always like to say I'm not really a lady and I'm definitely not a man. I'm like a third worst thing, like right in the middle. Like I'm a different thing. Um,
Yes.
and I like to be more of that. I like to embody that. I like to look like a monster sometimes. I love to do clown drag where I look very horrifying as a clown.
Mhm.
And I kind of like to skirt that line because I think if we're already playing and we're playing with makeup and gender and outfits and costumes, then like I'm gonna go all the way outside the box
Yeah.
with it.
Yes.
I'm not gonna just, dress kind of like a dude or kind of like a lady. I'm gonna be a third worst thing. And sometimes that means I'm just kind of slightly scary and then I'm in a teeny tiny little outfit, but that's the name of the game sometimes.
Okay, so you've
To what
seen.
extent? Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I have to jump in with this
Do
because
it.
you put an image in my head that's very specific. So you've
Uh-huh.
seen all of Star Trek, and
Mhm.
the image that popped into my head is that creepy clown in the Voyager episode, The Thaw.
Mhm. I
Hmm.
love
Um,
him.
like
I love him.
right. I thought I just like Lucy connects with this character.
Yeah. Yes. That and like I do feel very much like Neelix in a teeny little stripper outfit, like as a
Mm.
mood. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it does, that's how I feel a lot of the time. Yeah.
Is that's how you feel just in life?
That's amazing.
Just in life, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very specific.
Well, not every morale officer has the same playbook. You know what I mean? Sometimes a skimpy stripper outfit is called.
Yeah, you
for
know,
it.
hey, it's increasing morale.
Right,
So.
exactly. We need that right now.
Yes.
Sorry, Damien, I cut you off.
No, I guess my question is in terms of as a burlesque show, it's meant to entertain, you're there to laugh. To what extent are you there to be titillated?
Oh, you're going to be very titillated. You're going to be very titillated because I have a strip club background. I do like to make my shows very sexy. For me, the way to be sexiest is to have humor incorporated through it. So I
Mhm.
feel like those things are just like a perfect combo. But yeah, I do infuse the show with a lot of sex, with a lot of excitement. We do have VIP tables where you do receive lap dances as well. So yes.
Seems like good. That's what I was
Yeah.
He has a checklist like in front of him.
There's a checklist happening off camera.
It's like, is there boylesque? Are there lap
Yes.
dances?
Yes. Yes.
Well, and it's like it feels like you're aiming this at a broad spectrum of gender identities and
Yes. Yes.
sexualities
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody on
I
the
think
promenade.
that's key to all of Star Trek. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That means personally within yourself. That means as a society. So I think it's only right to have the wide representation. It's also pretty well known that RuPaul doesn't really book drag kings. Drag kings don't get the same kind of bookings.
Nope.
I book primarily drag kings.
Mhm.
And kind of go from there. But what I look for is again that passion for Star Trek. But the drag kings just bring it.
Absolutely.
I can imagine.
Well, in fact, we have sort of fallen in with this group that does charity drag, Star Trek themed charity drag shows in New York, and they are doing all kings coming up either this weekend or the next. So
Is it this
love
weekend
to
or
see
is it
it.
next? I think it's like March. Is it March 1st?
probably it will have already happened by the time we
By
post
the
this.
time we
Right.
figure it out,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't listen to us.
Yes.
You
Who is
picked
this
it.
group?
They're called Too Proudly Go, and they are
Okay,
They
yes.
are our friend
Wearing
Heather
one of their
Wood is a
shirts.
Janeway drag
Live
queen.
proud and prosper.
Yes, yes,
Nice. I believe they were at Trek Long Island last year. Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
yes. Yep.
Wonderful.
Small world.
Which you've anticipated. A next question is your convention life. Do you go to
Mhm.
cons? Have you
Yes.
been to cons? It sounds like you have.
Yes, so I've been to a few fan expos, but yes, I went to Trek Long Island the first year it was running, which was in 2023. It was
Okay.
actually the weekend before my first Slut Trek. So I went there in my shirts and just kind of talked to people, passed out some stickers, let anybody know if they happen to live up a little further north, like come by. Yeah, no, I loved it so much. I can't wait to go back. Last year had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, but I'm hoping to go this year.
Yes, I think we're hoping to go, or at least some of us are hoping to go this year. So
Nice.
yeah. Have you in promoting Slut Trek in that kind of setting? Have you ever had anyone react unexpectedly and be like, "That's not what Star Trek is supposed"? Have you had any negative reactions to that?
I do try to avoid those wherever possible. I try to not bring it up when someone doesn't seem like they would be receptive
Mm-hmm.
to hearing
Mhm.
about it. Not everyone is as interested in it. My dad wasn't as enthused when I was telling him, "Oh, come see it." It's not exactly for everyone. For the most part, I feel like I get a really good reaction, especially from Trekkies.
Yeah, I was trying to
Yeah.
imagine actually, as I was asking that question, a Trekkie that would be put off by that.
I mean, I think for some people, they might not want to see it if that's something that they're not interested in. If,
Mm-hmm.
they don't love being out late at night. I can kind of understand that, or a large crowd or something like that. But I feel like content wise, I kind of have something for everyone. And I do think I bring a show that most people would enjoy, unless they're like, man, I hate seeing butts so much.
Oh,
I couldn't imagine seeing a butt in real life.
I
I think
cannot
that's the
relate to
person
those
this show
people.
is not
No,
for.
right.
Yeah.
I just want to see all the
Yeah.
butts.
Yeah. Well, lucky for you. May
You're Tina
18th.
Belcher.
18.
She's like,
You're Tina.
I've got them. You want them?
You want butts? We got butts.
Your butts. We got your butts. Let's talk about the name. So the term slut is, I think, controversial. And I don't remember whose story this is. Was it Lee Ellen? But someone tried to, or maybe it was, anyway, tried to say to Terry Farrell that
Oh, this was Luna.
it was
Yeah,
Luna.
Luna.
It was
This was
Luna.
Luna.
Thank you.
Yes.
She was like that, I loved Jadzia. She was such a slut, like as a compliment. And
Space slut.
space slut. And Terry Farrell was a little bit like taken aback by that, I think.
Terry
And
Farrell,
was,
we've learned, is one of the loveliest humans,
Mhm.
but
oh, wonderful person.
but she is not Jadzia.
But she is not Jadzia.
She is not.
Right.
She is an actress who plays Jadzia.
And I think that, in a larger conversation, maybe, but I think it was a little shocking to her. So she was
Yes.
like, no, that's not, So can you give us your definition of a slut?
Yeah, I think it's a word that's still being relearned by the
Hmm.
populace.
Mhm.
And I feel like for me personally, it's not a derogatory sentence on your character, and it doesn't even necessarily mean like you're sleeping with a lot of people or you're doing sexual activity with a lot of people. I'm just very comfortable in my body and showing off, and it's easier for me to be half nude than to speak into a microphone. And for me, I feel like calling myself a slut is almost liberating, because now you
Mm.
know what you're getting into. You know.
Sure.
There's no subterfuge here. I'm a part of a show called the Slut Cracker in Boston, which has been running for 17 years. It's an incredibly successful show.
Wow.
We chant slut behind the curtain. We're proud of it. It does give you a sort of power, where some seek to say, like, oh, you're such a slut. Like, you don't have any clothes on. Da, da, da. It's like, okay, well, my slut ass has sold out the Crystal Ballroom before. It gives you some power,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I think some people don't understand, that it is a reclaiming of power and may think of it in a negative connotation.
Well, you know what's
Um,
really funny, Mike, when you asked that question, I think as a gay man born of the, coming from, raised in the 80s and 90s, um, my knowledge of that word comes from the Golden Girls. And that
Yeah.
is Blanche, who is referred to as a slut by who?
Right.
Her dearest friends in the world.
Dearest
Mhm.
friends. The slut is dead. Long live the slut.
Yes. So for as much as we were like, this was like a way that they insulted one another, they all loved one another. So I'm sure the first time that I came to know that word. And how can you not love Blanche? So,
It makes me think of the term queer,
yeah.
because growing up, that was definitely an insult that was lobbed at me from very early on. And when the LGBTQ community added the Q, um, and reclaimed that word, and people started talking about their queerness, it was hard for me. I had a knee-jerk reaction against it. I'm like, I'm a gay man. I'm not queer. I'm not a queer. But now, I mean, that was, years ago. Now I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm a queer. You know what I mean?
Well, Lenita,
Like,
you've always been the
like,
champion of that word.
Absolutely. Because
yeah,
I've never it was like learning new language, right? So it's like, oh, you're young, you learn there are gays and there are lesbians, or really dykes is how they were brought up to me. So it's like, okay, what's a dyke do? Okay, a woman who likes women. Who's a gay? A man who likes men. And it's like, okay, so bisexual, everybody likes everybody. And so it's like, you're raised to be like, you get a boyfriend, you get engaged, you get married, you have kids. And I was like, ooh, no. So it's like, okay, so I think I like, okay, I like both. So I'll come out as bisexual. And there's like, "No." And then I was like, no, not really. You can keep the penis. And then it was like, okay, I'm a lesbian. But that never, like, it never, it just didn't feel right. And then I was like, queer. Okay, what's queer? And then learning how that for me speaks more to me as a person who likes people. You can keep your cis men. Thank you so much. Y'all are amazing. Don't want you. However, if there is a different identity, come on through. But like, would you know, like that includes trans people, that includes non-binary people. So therefore, I can't be a lesbian because I'm just not a woman who loves women. I'm a woman who loves other type of people. So like queer was always the thing. Like the minute I learned what queer was, I was like, oh yeah, I'm queer all day long. People are like, what is that? Don't you worry about it. One day you shall learn and you'll be on board.
Two shall know. So yeah, I love the reclaiming of the word slut. I think that's great. Yeah,
Because if you
it's
reclaim it, it doesn't have power over you. Like someone like, oh, I'm a
right.
slut. Yeah, so was your mama. Like
Yep.
just like let's just be
Right.
clear about some things. Like you think you're so wholesome and no. Like everybody is a little bit of a slut.
Hmm.
At the end
Yep.
at the end of the day, we've
Yeah.
all had slutty moments, slutty decades. What are the 20s for every girl who goes to college, gets a little drunk? Oh, I'm gonna tongue my best friend. Yeah, it's your slutty moment, mama. That you're not gonna tell your kids about it. I understand, but we all know it happened.
But I
We
feel like the
all know it
slutty
happened.
moment also means not apologizing for it and not
Ab-
feeling
Yeah.
bad and
Mhm.
when you
not
get to that point, yeah,
It's
swimming in
agency.
shame and agency.
absolutely. But you can tell the people who do not accept, who haven't reached that point, to
Yes.
realize
Yeah.
that everyone is a little bit of a slut. And it's not just about sex, right? You can be a
Mhm.
slut for food. You can be a slut for attention. You can be it I know people want to just make it all about sex. Fine, but it's not. It just isn't. So, claim it, find what you're a slut for, enjoy it, shout it out loud.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it.
Now, if you, so you came to Star Trek by way of your burlesque life, it sounds like.
Hmm.
Do you find that there are people, have you sort of become something of a gateway yourself in that regard,
Mm.
in opening that door
Yes.
for others in your world?
Yes. I have made multiple people watch Star Trek. Um, no, it doesn't catch on for everybody, but I have turned a few more people onto it. But I think sometimes just seeing someone be genuinely passionate and enthusiastic about something is a very inspiring thing, even if you yourself aren't into it. I experience that with my friends all the time. And I think they feel that from me, like when I start talking about this sort of stuff. Especially now the world is really hard and scary and difficult. And
Yeah.
this is something we can seek refuge in
Yeah.
because it keeps you safe and it keeps you healthy.
Mm.
And yeah.
And as you
Yeah.
were sort of having this sort of adult conversion experience, if we could call it that,
Yes.
um, were there people in your life that you shared it with? Was there anyone who you're like, oh my God, like I just watched the episode where this happens? What? Like, did you have people in your circle that you could share the experience with?
Not as many as I was hoping for. I definitely, in my circle of friends, am the biggest Trekkie that I know.
Hmm.
My partner who moved out here from Seattle, we met and found each other through Star Trek. He's another big Trekkie, but yeah, I do kind of find that it is kind of me, but thankfully that is partly what the internet is for. I found my
Absolutely.
people. I did start everything with just a meme page. I was posting on Star Trek Stripper while I was at the club, just finding screenshots and being like, oh, this is just like this moment. And they kind of picked up a little bit more than I thought. I didn't think the intersectionality was going to make sense to a lot of people. Um, but it did, and it
Yeah.
found its audience. And then I was like, oh, this is a good time to try to do this show now because I think I've found an audience for it. And I sure have. So.
I think that intersectionality really is there. And
Yeah.
I wonder Do you have any thoughts as to why? Like, what is it about Star Trek that lends itself to this?
It just has this like hopeful but somehow still realistic view of the future that I feel like I've never found outside of Star Trek. I do think if I had found Star Trek like as a child, I think I would have done something different with my life.
Mm.
I think I would have tried to become an engineer or something. Like I don't know how it would have affected me, but I think it would have affected me on a deep level. Um yeah.
But what about it lends itself to burlesque in that
Oh
way?
yeah, sorry. I did kind of stray from that.
No,
I
it's okay.
think I think it's kind of a safe space cuz in I do have this weird view that like they would have burlesque shows on the Enterprise.
I would
Like
hope
Right?
so. I mean,
like
it
they
can't
would
all be like
total yeah.
classical violin and
Ellen,
Shakespeare.
Right, right.
No, no,
Or
they just didn't
Beverly's
show it
Community
on any of
Theater.
the Exactly. Yes, like I feel like it's something that it would still be welcome there and it would still have a place because it does have such this historic um past to it and it's adapted so much over time but I do feel like Star Trek is just so more open-minded
Yeah.
and I feel like what I do fits right within it.
There's something about Star Trek too that really lends itself to parody.
Yes.
It really does. We were when we were in when Mike and I were in Philly, we saw the Roddenberries, and their lead singer does a full-on Riker drag king moment, which is
Yes.
like just like the like which you kind of need a chair for, right? With like the leg up over the chair. I mean, there's just so much. It's just so much to be mined there.
I think it's that these characters are so iconic and visually identifiable. I mean, especially in, the original series and Next Generation, just costume color wise. It's, if you see
Mm.
a guy in a gold shirt and black pants and, like with like you immediately go to, depending on what he's doing, but Kirk, like, you know what I mean? Like blue, black hair, pointy ears gives it away. But you know what I mean? There's these visually instantly cultural touch points that everybody gets. And I think that's why it lends itself to parody and also being the inspiration for other performance and other artwork. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
Um, should we do a few of our questions that we ask everyone?
Absolutely. Here's
Yes.
well, I do have one question before you do that. Oh, this is always
Yeah.
how it happens. Sorry. This is how this works.
That's why
You
I
When
tried to
Mike
said
do
wants to
that
move
thing.
forward, Lenita has other ideas.
No, because you were talking about parody and all that was running through my head. You're like, burlesque has to be a part of it. I'm like, all I can think of was Orion women and the fact that every time we see them, yes, we know like they're scantily clad and they're doing like the dance of 1,000 scarves. I'm like, that would be an awesome burlesque show to be like, okay, paint yourself green. No, you're not Elphaba, but paint
Mhm.
yourself green and be able to
Right.
do like a burlesque a la
Yeah.
Mud's Women situation. Like that's literally like, yeah, of course they have burlesque. They've got belly dancers.
Oh
They're in
yeah.
the like so. It just popped into my head. That's all, Mike Jones.
Um,
That's
It's
perfect.
still a little early, but I'm cooking something up for the next year's show that might have a little bit of that in there.
oh, you got a
Yes.
long-term plan.
The tease.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
She's like, I have a 5-year plan,
Oh,
and
yes.
I'm going to make sure that all of the things happen.
Yeah.
I I actually have some like because you are talking to theater production people. I have some like production questions if that's all
Yeah.
right. Like
Mhm.
Yeah, hit me.
what kind of space are you performing in? What kind of stage is it? What kind
Oh,
of
yeah, I
house?
meant to ask that too.
Yeah, so the first year I did my show it was at the Crystal Ballroom. We're going back to the Crystal Ballroom this year. It's a wonderful space up in Somerville, Massachusetts. Decent sized stage, little runway, has a chance to get a little more intimate with people because you can get down off the runway, you can work your way into the audience. Um, I also had my show at Arts at the Armory, which is a bit of a larger space, a little bit higher of a ceiling. Um, I yeah, I definitely look for spaces that kind of have like a black box feel to them if I can find it. We had a perfect place in Boston that unfortunately is shut down. So I've kind of been looking to
Oh, that's
recreate
true.
that sense. But I do definitely look for like kind of a black box so it can be
So
an
is it like a
immersive
theater
experience.
setting or like a cabaret setting or like a
Somewhat. I would say it's closer to, I guess, a cabaret setting, trying to think of the ballroom setup. We do also have like vendor tables that we set up. I have a photo booth area that I have set up as well.
oh cool.
Yeah, to bring a little variety to it, but yeah, I'm still searching out the perfect space for it, but I'll find it someday.
And in terms of like costumes, does each act provide their own costumes? Is that something that you're like hunting down yourself?
Yeah, so I definitely trust my performers to come up with their own acts, their own ideas and costumes, but I do have a lot of I offer a lot of help.
Hmm.
I have a lot of costumes, so I always have extras. I outfit all of the crew people in outfits as well.
Fun.
So we kind of have a full a full crew complement during the show.
Nice.
So as a burlesque performer, is your personal closet must be crazy. You must have a lot of weird shit.
I have a whole room full of stuff now. Yeah, it's just show stuff. It's insane in there.
And how much of that is Trekkie sci-fi kind of stuff?
There's a decent portion. I just got myself a nice little rolling rack to bring right to the show, and it's already pretty full.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
We have in doing this the last, several months, couple years, we meet people with Starfleet uniform addictions.
Mhm.
Oh, mhm.
Are they
Um,
Yeah.
addictions? They're just
addiction, no,
they're passions.
passions,
They're
passions.
passionate about
Addiction is a
Star
negative framing. I'm sorry. That was the
Correct.
first word that came to mind. Uh,
You might have an
Science
addiction.
Officer Blue, you mentioned.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I have a few blue ones. I have a few yellows now. I have a Borg Queen outfit that I wore as well. It was just very, very pared down.
Wait,
Um,
last year was assimilation.
last year was
Uh-huh.
Assimilation, yes, and I played Jenna to open the show. We did a Data and Jenna number. Yes, it was a very cute number, and then I closed the show as the Borg Queen.
Wow.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Amazing. I love that.
Are these mainly TNG uniforms?
Mainly, I do have a few lower deckers joining us this year.
Yes.
So they will
That's the
be
best.
in their lower decks uniforms. Yeah, I do try to. I love all Star Trek, so I welcome any iteration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Love it.
great. Well, those original series, mini skirts are just so fashionable. Like,
Oh yeah, the
I,
scants.
I love it. I love this. I love a good
Mhm.
scant.
See, what I want is the unisex TNG scant.
Oh yeah.
The
Well,
one
there's
from the
Yeah.
that
first
too.
season that you saw like one or two men wearing, and then quickly we were
Yes.
fandom was maybe not ready for that. Is
We
that
were
what
robbed
happened?
of the legs.
Right.
Robbed
You
of the
you need
legs.
you need one of those, Damien.
I know,
He
and I know,
does.
and I need your husband to tailor it for me, okay, Mike?
I
So
He
feel like
will.
I feel like if there's so many costumers that we know,
Right.
literal wardrobe people who could make it from scratch for you.
You can
Mhm.
buy the pattern.
what I really want
is
is the season 1 TNG Tasha Yar uniform. That's
the
what
Tachi Yar scant. Um,
Oh, that little
Oh.
tie business she wears.
Oh,
oh.
well, I don't know. Give me a few
Like
give
from
me a
the
few
Naked
weeks or
Now.
months on that one.
Oh,
The right occasion, you never know. And she with the little like squiggly curl down her forehead. Yeah.
Mhm.
right. Perfectly placed. Okay, so we have a few questions that we ask most of our guests, if not all of our guests. So we will subject you to them now. Do you own any, or have you ever owned any Star Trek action figures?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I can
Oh,
I can grab one right
Please.
now. In
yes.
fact, they're
Grab
in
one.
frame. Here's a Data.
Yes.
We've got a Kirk as well. These are just the ones on
Yes.
top. We have another box as well. Yes, I have. The short answer is yes.
Is that the data from Generations?
Yes, it is.
Amazing.
The fact that you
Amazing.
know that, Mike
Well,
Jones.
because he knows that it's the
It's the
uniform that didn't
outfit.
get. We covered this, Lenita. You know
Yeah.
this.
I
Okay.
know.
It had
It's just,
the
it's
gray
just
bit under
wild.
the yellow.
Right.
From afar, he's like, "Is that the one?"
Amazing. I basically just love Star Trek toys, so that question's just for me. Is there a certain series that spoke to you more than the others?
I mean, I think probably Next Gen. It feels the comfiest. I mean, even the
Absolutely.
bridge has carpet, like it's so comfy, cozy. Like I'm very, it's just even the theme music is comforting to me. I do love all of them. I've really fallen in love with Lower Decks. I think we need more of that. We need more Trek made by Trekkies because it just
Yeah.
reads all the way through. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And Strange New Worlds is also incredible. They set the pacing just like a TNG episode with a few of them, and that just gives me that nostalgia feel as
Oh,
well
I had
too.
never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Sometimes the episodes are so just kind of like slow, and like it takes its time getting to where it needs to go, and it's perfect. It's just
Yeah.
perfect.
They understand comedy too.
Yes.
Those writers, it's great. Yeah, like Discovery, sometimes at the end of an episode, you're out of breath. It's like it's been a race, some of those Star Trek Discovery episodes. I find that to make it harder to rewatch them.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with 3 characters, not the actors, but the characters, who would they be and why?
Oh, dinner with characters. Mix. I mean, I'm guessing we can mix series and times.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Your cue.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right. Well,
Oh, she went to a place for that.
Janeway.
Okay. Janeway.
Okay.
Definitely Janeway. I'm trying to think of what wouldn't start a fight as well. I think I'd have Quark.
Mhm.
And probably Picard, just to hear the banter between Janeway and Picard.
Mm.
And then Quark just disrupting everything. Yeah.
Nice.
And I
That's a
wouldn't
nice mix.
invite Data because he doesn't need to eat. He has other things he needs to do,
Yeah,
so
he
he doesn't need to
eat.
be there. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. I would love to be at that table. If you lived in the 24th century, what would your life be like?
I hope it'd be better. Oh God, I hope it'd be better. I think it would be.
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
think I'm pretty lucky. I think all of my problems are tied to the fact that we live in a society where there's poverty and money and
Yeah.
war and homelessness, and I think removing those things would just improve my life greatly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd probably be on a ship. I always said I'd probably end up being a stripper on like a Terran Empire ship, but who knows where I'd be.
I love it. What's your go-to holodeck program?
Oh, well, as you know, the most popular program at Quarks is Vulcan Love Slave.
Yes.
So I think I might want to just see what that looks like. We'll also be closing the show with Vulcan Love Slave this year too.
Oh, is this
Good.
you just spoil your show? I love this.
With just
love it.
a little teaser.
Teaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vulcan
If anyone knows
Give
how to
everybody a
tease.
reason to come and see it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it would just be interesting to be able to pull up any sort of, I love to run and walk outside. So I think being able to pull up any sort of landscape and
Mm,
just go would be incredible.
Mm.
absolutely. Crusher or Pulaski?
Crusher. Is that a question you ask people?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Every
Yes.
so often, every so often.
Every so
you never
often.
know. Every so
You get a
often it happens.
Pulaski.
Is that like just to test to be like, are you a psycho? Let's see if what you answer. to that. I don't like that woman. I tried,
yes.
but I really don't like that lady at all.
I love it.
Wow. I
Yeah,
also
it's
feel like PS. I
controversial.
feel like this is a point that like that kind of depends on how old you were when you encountered her. Because
Yeah.
I definitely remember
Yeah.
being very like disrupted by the change, but then like as a child, like sort of receptive, and I could get on board with the sort of like crustiness of her. But to be clear, was
Crusher.
pleased when things were set right.
You were set right. That's amazing. Pulaski was done wrong. She didn't even get to say goodbye. Um,
She's off with Riker's dad.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
she's doing fine.
she's doing fine. Are you doing Klingon Tai Chi with Worf or Leotard Yoga with Beverly and Deanna?
Oh, I'd love to do some leotard yoga with them. Yeah, that
Just
seems
to
like it'd
hear
be so much fun.
Just to hear the gossip. I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah.
they know what's going on in the ship.
I played Deanna Troy in the first Slut Trek I did, and we did a recreation of that little stretch scene.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it was so
Awesome.
good.
That's amazing.
I went on later in the show to pole dance while wearing a strap on and learned just how hard it was to actually dance with a strap on in that moment too. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
It feels like it would be in the way.
It was, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Are you
That said, men pole dance
yes.
all of the time, and it's not in the way,
That's
right?
true.
I mean,
Because they're
they have to know how to do it.
but a strap on is erect.
correct.
Is right. Is
Thank you. I'm
erect.
just thinking I'm just working through it.
Oh, okay.
However,
Yeah.
as you know, if you're put into a flying harness, whether you're pointing north or south makes a big difference as to how much you're going to enjoy that experience.
I learned this myself as well.
It's your story I'm referencing.
Oh, it is. Yes. No, they ask you when they put you in the harness and they say, "What direction are you pointing?" And I said, "Excuse me."
Like,
And then
that
he
sounds
said,
like
"What
my
direction are you
experience.
pointing?" And I said, "Oh, why I'm pointing down. What direction are you pointing, sir?"
Oh my god. He's like,
Might
you're
want to
gonna
fix
have a
that.
bad
Okay, all right.
time. Okay. Tea, Earl Grey, hot or coffee, black?
Coffee, black. Yeah.
Great.
One more cup and I'll jump to warp.
Yes. Yes.
If you had a replicator sitting next to you right now, what would you order?
Ice cream. I want some vanilla ice cream.
I love ice cream. Ice cream is my go-to as well. Who's your Star Trek bartender? Guinan or Quark?
Oh God, I wish I could say both.
Yep.
Probably Guinan. I would just trust her a little bit more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Trust her with my secrets, Yeah.
She probably makes a good drink too.
Mm-hmm.
Though having Quark around, you really get to explore the value of a friend that you can't trust.
Yes.
Which is not nothing.
We just did a whole episode about this next one. Are you on Team Tasha or Team Armis?
That's hard. I mean, I suppose Team Yar, but I do love Worf as the security chief.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That's really tough.
Everything that comes after really makes the argument for Armis better.
Yeah, I might have to switch
Anita's
sides.
face.
As you should.
Favorite alien species?
I love the Beta Zeds. I do. Yeah, that's so hard though, because I also love the Ferengis. That's tough. I'm
Very
gonna say
different.
Binars. I'm gonna just go
Oh,
and say
Whoa,
binars.
out of
Binars.
left field. What up,
They popped
binars?
into my head too, and I think
That's
they're
awesome.
it's just such a fun depiction of an alien race, and I feel like we don't always see very alien aliens, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
They all have,
humanoid.
yeah, and like the way they speak and interact and everything is very similar, and with the exception of like what is it, species 247 or something like that.
847. Yeah, yeah,
8472.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we don't get a whole lot of that, but I feel like we do with the binars a bit. Yeah.
That's true.
Well, and there's an argument to be made that that was the first good episode of Next Generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lower Decks really did well bringing them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took the binars and ran with them. Who's your captain?
Janeway.
Janeway. Me too.
Yeah.
I love Janeway. Voyager's not my favorite series, but Janeway's my favorite captain.
Yes.
Yeah, we are connecting. Okay, last question. How would you describe Data's penis?
That's, I was going to say that's hard, but that's a cliche.
By the way, if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're hearing the audio version, I want you to say that, just observe that Lucy was entirely unfussed by this question and had no visible reaction.
Right.
Just took
No,
it in
yeah,
stride.
like, okay. Yeah.
Just took it as a very
okay,
serious
well,
question.
Let me think
I-
about that.
Yeah, let me, because I am like literally surrounded by him behind me here.
Right.
We
You have a
what,
Data shrine.
five
What did you
pictures.
call it?
My Brent Shriner.
Yes.
It's mostly Brent. Lots of him.
It's funnier the second time.
How's that hot toddy?
It's a little cool now, but it's still working.
How would I describe his penis without being silly? I think I think it's beautiful. I think it'd be beautiful. I feel like his skin would be very beautiful in real life, and I think it'd be pretty. You know,
Do you think
not the
Data's Sorry, do you think Data's cut? This is a follow-up question.
I've had this conversation more than once. I think he is.
That's why I know you're our people.
Yeah. I think
Thank
he
you for taking this
is.
as a serious
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
A serious question that it is.
Of course, yes. Yeah. No, I think he is cut. Yeah.
Interesting.
What does an android need with a foreskin?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
I
doesn't
guess the
have
real-
any spare parts, you know. He doesn't have any extra stuff that he doesn't need. So
Oh, that's
just
So he doesn't have
what you
balls.
need.
But he has a dick,
So-
no balls.
No, I bet he has balls.
Personally, I don't think he would. Or it would be
Really?
not to sound like this. I think they'd be very taut up to the body so as to not
Okay.
impede him at all.
Sure.
So Ken. So he
Yeah.
looked
Never
like
needs
Ken
to wear a
except with a
cup.
dick.
I'm trying to not reveal that I've thought about this a lot. Am I doing a good job?
Well, the question is, did Dr. Soon create Data to look exactly like him?
That is
You know
what
what I mean?
that was my thought.
That's-
Is it?
That's interesting. I want to say yes, but I also, knowing Dr. Soon and the vibe he gave off during that one episode where we saw him, I feel
Yeah.
like he would have been like, I'm adding a little bit. I'm gonna
Oh,
give him a little
that-
more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen,
Right.
we've had a full discussion about this.
We
About
have.
was it length or was it girth? Or was it
Right.
both?
It was
Long-time
yes.
listener.
Computer enhance.
Longtime listeners will know. We've discussed whether it's detachable, whether, like does he have options? Like, it's
The
who
Klingon
knows?
option.
Right. The Klingon
Oh,
attachment.
double barrel. Oh.
Right. Double your pleasure, double your fun. Oh my gosh, this has been such a freaking delight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before
Absolutely.
we release you, is there anything else you want to like tease for your show this year? Is there any other like tantalizing detail that you can give us?
Yeah, so I can release part of my cast list.
Ooh,
yes.
Yes. So I of course will be in the show. We are going to have 3 revolving hosts. We're going to have my best friend and co-producer Madison Zane. We're going to have the beautiful Luna Dahlia from Philly, and we'll of course have Sherman co-hosting as well. And we are going to be joined by Rusty Hammer, Aubrey Pleaser,
The great name.
Stabitha Christie, and more.
Ooh,
I love a
Stabitha
good pun
Christie.
name.
I love all these names. I'm so excited.
Amazing.
Yes.
And
I really hope to see you guys there too.
Ye-
There will be a table for you if you can make it. So I
well,
hope to see
listen,
you.
it is I have wheels, and there's Amtrak is easy, so this is not out of the realm of possibility.
Absolutely.
Right. Hop
And
on
tell us the
Monticello.
date. Tell us the dates and possible time if you have that.
Yes, so it will be May 18th at the Crystal Ballroom in Somerville, Massachusetts, and that is right outside of the Davis T stop. So if you get yourself on the Red Line and get off at Davis, it is 1 door away. It's right there. And it will be starting at 8 p.m., doors at 7, show starts at 8.
And how can people buy tickets?
Tickets are not currently on sale yet, but they will be soon. We're still at about 3 months out, so we're still doing some of that like logistics behind the scenes stuff, but they will be available soon. You can always find information on my Instagram page. I'm at Lucy Blueskies. I am also at Star Trek Stripper.
Excellent. And actually, you may know that we're notoriously slow in getting these out. So by the time we release this, if you have the information, we'll put it with all of it. What? Why are you laughing?
That's 3 months.
What?
I mean, I know it's
You may know more in a month.
That's true. That's
Oh
true.
my God, Mike.
They should hopefully
Don't
be
be
on
mad.
sale by then. So yes.
So we'll look at the episode description for a link.
Yes.
We'll say it that. Oh my gosh, this has just been such a delight. And next time up in Boston, which I go visit my in-laws every well, as infrequently as I can, but
Are you listening?
next time I'm up there, we'll definitely have to hang out.
Yes, please.
I'd like to thank my co-hosts, Damien and Lenita. And if you, dear listener, have enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces there. And that's a whole other place you can leave reviews for us. You can find us at Hailing Freak Open on the socials or at hailingfrequenciesopen.com. And with that, I will say, Hailing Frequencies closed.
No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing frequencies closed, sir.